stop it from wiggling.
Okay. Are we good?
Yes.
All right. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
My name's Tucker Basil.
And I am Timmy Basil.
And we're coming to you live from Belle Plaine, Minnesota.
Yes. Happy Sunday, everyone.
Happy Memorial Day.
Happy Memorial Day weekend.
Well, yes, you're right. How are you today, Timmy?
Oh, I'm doing really good today.
Yeah?
It's a beautiful day, and I think that whenever we're done with this video, I think I'm going to go for a run outside. That's why I have my running clothes on.
That's good. I will probably spend a lot of the time in the garden. Because it's not sunny. I won't have to worry about getting sunburnt. It's a great day to be outside, I think.
Yes. So I would say every day is a great day to be outside.
Yes. Well, it's not too hot. It's actually kind of chilly, which I like.
Mm-hmm.
If I can be outside and wear a sweatshirt, I like that.
Well, for those of you watching, if you're not from Minnesota, I'll fill you in on a little secret. Anytime that we start a conversation, we spend at least 5 minutes talking about the weather. It's a Minnesota thing.
Yeah, you gotta talk about the weather because the weather's always something interesting. It's not like Hawaii or something where it's always 72 and sunny or rainy. Like that's it. I feel like sorry Hawaiians if they're for throwing shade, but not that that's shade. Like that's really nice, right? But in Minnesota, it's like, is it a tornado today or is it a blizzard? Or is it not? That's worth talking about.
Yeah. All right.
It's been a couple weeks, Timmy.
It has. Last weekend we were camping, we didn't have access to internet to do a live stream. Mm-hmm. So I believe you just took some photos of our little pop-up camper.
Yep. And I drove down the road to the gas station and sat in the parking lot and did the thing that way. So
this week we're going to do a live stream, or we are doing a live stream.
We're going to?
Currently, right now.
Oh, right. Hey everybody, I didn't see you there.
So what do you want to talk about this week?
Well, we kind of had some big, not life changes, but just life things. I guess before we talk about those though, Timmy, what's new in adoption world?
Well, as most of you watching this probably already know, the adoption journey is a lot of waiting. So we're in the profile book, but we're just waiting right now.
We're waiting.
So we don't have any new updates on the adoption front, unfortunately.
Yeah, but that's life.
That's life.
Yep. But we did do some things in the last 2 weeks, specifically in the last 3 days?
4 days.
Sure, 4 days.
So we had some larger events that took place, and maybe you want to share about them.
Well, just to cut to the chase, we got a new car, an all-electric Chevy Bolt, which is exciting. We're living in the future.
I was actually just thinking, whenever I was growing up, the idea of an electric car was something that was just way out there.
I don't even know if I could think about an electric car.
And now it's like you can go online and you type in what electric cars are there on the market, and there's quite a few. Mm-hmm. So we ended up going with a Chevy Bolt. Yes,
which is exciting. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Also, equally / more excitingly, we're getting a puppy. We're getting a Border Collie puppy. We posted a picture of her after we went and visited her in Austin from the breeders.
Yes.
Yes, so we'll talk about little puppy too.
Okay.
We'll be picking her up next
weekend.
So
those are kind of like the two big updates that we have that aren't really adoption related, but I guess they're just related to...
I think they're very adoption related.
Okay.
Because...
All right.
Potentially and likely, the baby Basil will be in that Chevy Bolt at some point.
Yes.
And puppy will meet baby Basil at some point as well.
Yep.
Unless the adoption takes 15 years.
I think that both of those scenarios are implied though a little bit.
I know. I just like relating it to our adoption and just thinking like, wow, these choices that we're making will, interact with our child throughout their lives.
Yep.
Anyway, so, do you want to talk about car first and then dog?
Sure.
There's not a lot to say about the car.
There isn't a whole lot to say about a car.
Other than it's just different than a combustion engine car.
It is. I think that's kind of the thing that is a little different, and I was discussing this yesterday with Tucker that, this may... The Lexus that we have is probably the last gasoline-powered vehicle that we will own in our lives, because every car from here on out, I mean, if we own the Chevy Bolt, for 5 or 7 years, and then the next car we get, I'm assuming that electric vehicles will be more prevalent.
Mm-hmm.
So then from here on out, every vehicle will probably be an electric vehicle.
Yeah.
So that's just a weird thing to think about.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And more charging stations are becoming common. So
yeah. So I'm gonna ask you a couple questions. What's the most surprising thing, Ben, or the most interesting thing about this car that we got this week?
The most interesting,
or something that I guess that's the most what you weren't expecting it to be.
Okay, so I guess I didn't really realize how much energy it takes to move a vehicle. Even though I'm an engineer, this should make perfect sense to me, and it does. But whenever you're at a stoplight, and then you just punch on the accelerator and you take off, and then you go from 0 to 60 in I think it does it in 4 or 5 seconds.
Yeah, it's fast.
It's like the instantaneous energy consumption is 85 kilowatts. And I'm like, oh my goodness, just to accelerate a vehicle.
Yep.
So it's and it'll tell you right when you're driving it how much power that you're consuming. So I think that's really neat.
It is. To answer my own question,
okay.
I think one thing that has just been surprising to me is just how incredibly quiet it is.
Yep.
You hit the button and then you go, is it on? What happened? Nothing changed, and then you have to look at the display and it says it's ready to go, it's in park, it's ready. So that's been kind of a thing to get used to. Or I feel like so many of us with our vehicles, at least me, relate to the sounds that it makes. So the old Explorer that we got rid of, the 99, it was basically ran it to the ground. But that car, I knew. Timmy would come, hear it going. He's like, "Is it okay?" I'm like, "Oh yeah." Just kind of it goes da 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 da, and then
we would start the Explorer and it would rumble a little bit. Then it would idle really low, and then I would always think it's going to just stall out.
But I knew it didn't because I knew the sounds of that car. I identify a lot of to the sounds of it, and this car does have sounds, but it's not the same type of sounds that we're used to.
It does have sounds.
More like a. Ooh,
yeah, I remember whenever we were at the dealership. Tucker started it up and it was making a sound, and I'm like, what is that sound? And then it took us a few seconds to realize that it was just the air conditioning running.
Yeah, you turn the AC off, and then I was like, oh.
Now it's not making any sound.
It's not making any sounds. And there's been one time, or a few times, where I've turned it on, and then all of a sudden I've been that doesn't sound right. And then I rolled the window down and I realized, oh, there's a car next to us that's running a combustion engine car. I'm like, oh, okay, now we're good.
All right, so I think that's enough talking about a car.
It's also cool to charge it.
Because a car is kind of, I don't know. Those of you watching are probably wanting to hear about our adoption journey. So we'll just put a little bow on the car.
Anyway, let us know if you're oh, that's a cool thing, or electric cars are cool, or
also let us know if you're considering buying an electric car, but maybe you have concerns I'm worried about range. Or I'm worried about acceleration.
Stranded. Or if you have an electric car, I'd be curious to see if anybody else does. I would be. Because it's kind of fun now to be oh, I think that's an electric car. Or whatever, now that we have one too. So, Timmy.
Yes.
Puppy.
I'll ask you a question.
Oh, let me know.
So, Tucker.
Timmy.
What is the other thing that we did on Thursday evening?
Well, after we went to Faribault, after, many dealerships, that was a whole other saga. We won't get into that, but it was dealership number 5 that we were finally able to get this car. But then we just I had been messaging somebody on Facebook about their border collies, border collie puppies, and they were starting to go, and checked in on Thursday, and there was only one left, and I was so sad. I was like, oh no, Timmy, we wait till Saturday, which we were going to wait till yesterday to do it. But then we were like, let's just go. And they were willing enough to let us come in and take a look at the puppies, and we did. And our puppy is really good. She's really good. Anyway, so we went to Austin,
and we after we met her, actually we met a lot of the puppies that were there.
All 9 of them.
All 9 of them. I have some pictures of him just surrounded by puppies. Maybe you can post a couple.
I did already post them. Yeah.
And we decided on a name.
Yes. And so this name comes from the fact that she was the most like peaceful out of all of them. Like she's still a puppy, she's still jumping around, but she was more like not skittish, but just like all the puppies were like bark, 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 and like I'm gonna chew on your ear. And she was like, I'm gonna think about it before I chew on your ear.
Yep.
So anyway, so this name means peaceful and stuff like that too. So her name's gonna be Kona. Kona Basil.
And I think that's fitting because she's kind of like, she's a reddish brown and white border collie, and I think Kona is like a coffee bean.
It is, from Hawaii. So Kona got her little...
oh, you're going to show it?
Yeah, why not? So we went out and we got like a leash and a tie out, and we even got this little like...
you can't see it.
Yeah, it's going to be reversed anyway too. So I got that yesterday. We also have other stuff. You notice that we're in a different spot. I mean, we're still in our normal room, but we moved the furniture around to have a puppy pen in here at some point.
And we're trying to get Puma a little bit more accustomed to like different smells. So I think that the transition of adding a puppy to the family is going to be
traumatic for Puma.
A little bit difficult for Puma because
she's been an only child for 6 years.
There she is right there. She has this mindset that this house is her house, and maybe I think that's a cat thing. So whenever a puppy joins, she's going to be very disturbed.
But we've got a plan on like how to, get them to. It's not going to be like open season, right? Like, all right, Kona, Puma, just meet. Like we've got a plan.
Yep, they're going to be in separate rooms.
And
maybe the only time they'll see each other is when they're eating their food. So they associate food with meeting each other.
I've been squeaking this for Puma.
Oh,
so she's all about sounds. I think when I first squeaked it, she got freaked out, but now she likes it because I've been telling her she's a good girl every time I squeak it. Oh, good girl.
So Kona will be a little more than 8 weeks old next weekend, so we will be able to pick her up next weekend. So
I'm not sure if it'll be Saturday or Sunday.
So she will probably be in next week's video.
Yes, so look forward to that.
Yep. So tune in for that.
It could be short because it could have puppy crying in the background, but I think it'll be a good test for us.
Yep.
For when we adopt baby Basil.
Wait, I don't agree with that. You know, he's not the first person to say that. I've heard a couple people so far say, "Oh yeah, if you're going to, adopt a baby, you should get a puppy first." It's like, well, there are a lot of people that just have babies without having any animals, and they do just fine.
Oh, but Timmy, I think that it'll be good. I think it'll be like a good test on like how you deal with like stressful situations, on like teaching the puppy things, and like having to deal with it in the middle of the night, and a lot of those things. Obviously, a human baby's going to be different, but I think it'll be good for us to be like, okay, how do we deal with this? It just peed on the floor. Like, are we going to get freaked out, or are we just going to deal with it? I think it'll be good.
Yes, but my expectations of a puppy are way different than a baby.
Of course it is.
Just to clarify for anyone watching. It's not like we are just going to have puppy training, and that's the only training we're having.
I think that's implied.
Yes. All right. So, are there any other things you want to talk about on this live stream?
I think that this is good. I mean, like, we talked about 2 really big things.
Yes.
Car and a puppy. More to come on. You'll see the puppy probably more than the car in our live streams.
Yep. And I actually want to bring up an interesting point about doing all of these things. They're kind of like big events, but so one of the things that we hear in like the grow groups and from our agency, like they'll tell us that even adoption books, like the adoption journey can take a while. So like if you're planning on, like if you want to have a dog in your family, or you're thinking of buying a new car, they actually say, like, don't put your life on hold for these things, because you might want to have a dog join your family, but then you're like, well, what if we adopt?
What if we place tomorrow?
What if we place tomorrow? But they say, but it could also be 3 or 5 years. So they actually say, like, just live your life, like,
because otherwise we'll be so sad.
So in case anyone that's watching is wondering, like, wow, you know, you have a lot going on right now.
And we do. And if we do place tomorrow, that's fine. It'll just be extra chaotic in the Basil
and
household.
extra exciting too.
Right, extra fun. That's what we'll say. Extra fun.
Extra fun.
Ask us if that does happen, if we really think that.
All right, so is there anything else you want to talk about?
No. I think that we'll leave it there, and
okay.
I think that we'll likely be able to do a live stream next week as long as, you know, we don't go get the puppy at the same time.
I think we'll be able to pull it off.
We'll pull it off. It'll be great.
Yes.
All right. Well,
thank you for joining.
Thanks for joining, and you know, spread the word about us. The two avenues that we're trying to use to find baby Basil is obviously through our profile and our adoption agency, but also people like you that are watching us right now. Just word of mouth and sharing our story, and you know, if somebody wants to make a connection, Puma would love a second sibling.
Or possibly third.
Yeah. Anyway, have a good week, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye.